Hello everyone, welcome back to another Marvel Crisis Protocol Battle Report. Sora's cameo? Nope, she's got a bone in her mouth, she's more concerned with that and determining whether or not it's food. Today for you we have an 18 threat match between A-Force and, I was going to say Organised Crime again, wrong game, Criminal Syndicate. In this large match on the map you can see here. And with that, let's get things started by taking a look at the teams and then we'll go over the objectives that you can already see on the table. So a bit more of an unorthodox A-Force setup this time, and by unorthodox I mean doesn't include Valkyrie, more or less. So being led by She-Hulk, of course, because she's got the leader affiliation. Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Black Widow is coming along, so is Okoye, so is Wasp, and finally so is Gamora. And their tactics cards, as you can see, Stalwart Determination, Reversal, Extreme Conditioning, Field Dressing, and Pym Particles. And this is the Criminal Syndicate crew taking to the table today, being led by the Kingpin. He is backed up by Bullseye, who's kind of pointing at the back of his head, with Taskmaster, Mystique, just to throw a little bit of a wild card in there, and of course MODOK as well. And their tactics cards are Shadow Organization, Cruelty, Brace for Impact, All You've Got, and the classic Med Pack. And these are the two missions being played. The Secure is the threat value being played, and it's the two mutant release missions, just happened that way. So we've got the Mutant Madman turns City Centre into Lethal Amusement Park, and Mutant Extremists target a US Senator. So there's 4 traps on the stage, and if you claim one, then it could potentially hurt an enemy during the cleanup phase. You get 1 victory point for every one you've successfully claimed, and you roll against, it's your physical defense for this one, isn't it? Yes, it's the rare not energy defense one, so it goes by physical defense. And then there's 3 safe houses, one of which has the Senator in it, and if you're holding the Senator in the cleanup phase, you get 2 victory points. And you interact with the safe house to discover whether or not he's there. So the 4 traps are there, there, and there, and then the 3 potential Senator locations, which have been randomized, no idea where he is. He's on one of them though, is down the line. They're kind of like reverse gamma showers. So with that, we'll get both teams deployed and see who's going first. So deployment is done, the A-Force side is on your left, and the, I keep on wanting to say Organised Crime, Criminal Syndicate team is on your right, so we can take a look, and it will be the A-Force team getting first activation. So Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., Black Widow and Okoye are down here, She-Hulk basically in the middle more or less, and then Gamora and the Wasp over there. And if we come over here, Mystique and Taskmaster are together facing down that potential trap and apartment, or safe house. MODOK right in the middle, Kingpin next to him, and then his faithful ally Bullseye, well, sometimes faithful ally Bullseye, right over there. So with that, we are ready to get started and jump straight into round 1. So Gamora was the one to get the game started. She moves along and did so about a move and a half, more or less, to get right into the centre. She spent her 1 power to interact with this safe house. Haven't flipped yet, so we don't know if this is the centre or not, so let's find out live. Nope. So she has wasted her power. She's hidden behind the scenery though, so she'll probably be okay, but that does mean that the Senator is either hidden there or there. So knowing that there's a 50-50 chance of her being correct, Mystique activated for basically the same command activation, that's the word activation, as Gamora. Moved a length and a half, she moves along and has spent her 1 power to search the safe house. So let's find out again live, is this the centre? It's not the centre. So the centre is for sure hiding, I guess, in this rubble here, and that's the marker for it. That's 100% where he is. Is there anyone who can move long enough to get there? I suppose Bullseye and Wasp if they're willing to ignore the traps, but if they ignore the traps there's no one close enough to potentially claim those. That's tricky. So there was little choice for what to do with Wasp's turn, even though she is far from the ideal person to be holding a unique objective on the map, but she double medium moved and spent her power, and we already know for a fact it's the centre that they're trying to keep safe, so that'll be on the Wasp's card, and it means if she ever shrinks down she drops it, which is really bad, but there's no one else close enough, so that was to stop Bullseye getting it potentially if he was to activate next. But it's over to either him, Kingpin, MODOK or Taskmaster now. Taskmaster was next up. He moved medium once, then he spent his power to interact with this trap here, and because there's a Criminal Syndicate icon, just using the Hydra ones for the ones they've claimed. So he's claimed this successfully by rolling against his physical defense of 3 and getting more successes than there were enemy characters, which is obviously 0. Then he medium moved again, kind of putting him halfway between potentially causing trouble there and having a little bit of a brawl in the middle of the map with the most deadly woman alive. Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Black Widow activated next, and she moves medium. She moved up and she spent her 1 power to convert this trap to the A-Force side, and it worked. However, from where she was not within range 3 to shoot at Mystique or Taskmaster, so she just did another move for her activation, put her slightly further forward, so she is within range 3 now, but obviously has used up all her actions for this turn, but to help secure that objective there as well. The Kingpin Wilson Fisk activated next, and despite only moving small, his large, ample-sized base gave him enough to get within one of the trap all the way over here, which he spent power to manage to successfully convert to the Criminal Syndicate side with his 4 physical defense dice. Not much attacking going on, but as per usual, turn 1 is mostly objective snaring and catching and whatnot. So it's over to either Okoye or She-Hulk for the A-Force, and then back over to MODOK or Bullseye. So She-Hulk did want to just push towards the centre to start causing trouble, but unfortunately because of Wasp having to go and snatch the centre once his location was known, she had to move kind of like tangentially, just move medium sideways twice to spend 1 of her 2 power on converting that trap, and she did it successfully on her 3 physical dice, but it does mean that she's away from the action, which is a bit unfortunate, but it does secure a victory point. So we finally saw a little bit of blood in Battle Round 1 with Bullseye activating. He moved up for his first action medium, to where you can see him, and then he chucked a throwing knife at Wasp, and he managed to get her, well, I was going to say good, but 1 damage, but he did get a wild through for bleed as well. And of course, as we know, she can't change form to escape or make things easier for herself because she'll drop the center. That might be worth doing when She-Hulk can grab it, but not right now. So Okoye was last up for the A-Force this turn, and she just repositioned herself almost smack dab in the middle of the map, just a little bit shy of that because she had to go sideways. But that is it. Forgot to mention, with Wasp being damaged, of course, the A-Force affiliation bonus kicks in, where if one of them gets hurt, then once per turn another A-Force member can receive 1 power. So it's a good way to start generating power on characters who are a little further back. Although in this case it was Gamora who got the extra power, but still, it's over to MODOK to end off Battle Round 1. So MODOK moved forwards just his small size, but obviously he's on the huge base to where you can see him, and he can see over that rock, so he could see Gamora, and she was within range 4 for his psionic blast. She did benefit from cover, so that's 1 automatic success, and that's just as well because her defense roll was 0, and from the attack she took 3 damage. There was no wild, so no power got sapped, so she did generate some power. MODOK generated some power, and also one of the A-Force also got a bonus 1 power. It was She-Hulk in this instance, I believe. So that is the end of Battle Round 1, so we are ready to tally up some points. So it's a simple enough scoring situation at the end of Battle Round 1. The A-Force have the centre, Wasp is carrying him for 2 victory points, and they hold 2 of the traps there and over there. So that is a total of 4 victory points, and they'll also be getting first activation again in Battle Round 2. And then of course the Criminal Syndicate, they just have the 2 traps here and here for 2 victory points, so 4 plays 2, and there is no enemies close enough to a controlled trap to get wounded by the trap getting set off yet. That'll probably matter more in turn 2 going forward. So will the Criminal Syndicate's affiliation bonus of each healthy character counting as 2 for the purposes of making these harder to claim back. Now things are going to get a little bit more interesting, I think, with Battle Round 2 starting now. So Battle Round 2 got started with the Wasp activating because she had to get away from Kingpin and Bullseye and potentially MODOK as well. She cleared her bleed as one of her actions. Her other action was to move medium, which put her roughly exactly on top of the bomb bag here. She then spent 1 power to change form, which means she turns into Bring Your Kid to Work Day Wasp, and then also drops the objective token. Now, not 100% clear the criteria for dropping an objective when Ant-Man or the Wasp changes size. Presumably it's still the same anywhere within 2 of her it gets dropped, but who gets to decide that? Is it her or the opponent? Not sure, doesn't say on her power, might say in the rulebook, not sure. Either way, she has dropped the centre because she changed into tiny size, but she's dropped it for a reason, so that She-Hulk can be the one to hold on to him because he's probably safest with her. MODOK activated first for the Criminal Syndicate this turn. He moved forward small as his first action to get him close enough to initiate a Doomsday Chair on Gamora, and Okoye was unfortunately close enough that she was caught in the free one because she was within 2 of Gamora. And as you can see, he had a pretty good turn. Well, actually his roll against Gamora was kind of bad. She rolled 0 defense successes for the second attack that's hit her in a row. So she is dazed because she only needed 2 and she took 3. So Gamora is dazed, will not be getting a turn. We've seen her on the table a few times, maybe literally a few times. She never performs as well as I feel like she should. It's very strange. Either way, Okoye also rolled no successes in her defense roll, so she also took 3 damage and is bleeding, so if she doesn't cure that during her turn, she's guaranteed to get dazed as well. Not great. MODOK is unfairly powerful, but hey, we'll deal with it. Oh, sorry, as an addition to this, combat reversal is actually being played by Okoye. I originally thought that couldn't happen because she was hit as well, but the description for the Doomsday Chair says that the second free one you do within 2 of the original target is a new attack. So technically, once the attack was resolved on Gamora, Okoye could pay 2 power, which she had, and could then do reversal because it costs 2 power. So that was done. So even if she'd been knocked out by the attack that went on to kill her, I believe it still would have been possible, although either way she stayed standing. So she did this. Hopefully that is more or less in focus. Pay 2, and then as long as you're within 3 of the attacking character that took someone out, or attacked them, roll 4 dice, deal 1 damage for each crit and wild, which presumably also negates MODOK's ability to ignore crits, wilds, sorry, because you're not rolling against him as an attack, it's a card. Either way, he took 2 damage. Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Black Widow was next activated, and she had 1 extra power in circulation thanks to getting it via the A-Force affiliation bonus. She moved up medium in between Taskmaster and Mystique, so she was within 2 of each of them, and then she did her area 2, so that's size 2 all around her, for 2 power. Tear gas is only a 4 physical, but regardless of whether or not it does damage, it poisons, so Mystique and Taskmaster are poisoned. That means they lose 1 power in the power phase. And they don't gain power for any damage done by the attack. And as you can see, Taskmaster took 2 from it, and Mystique took 2. Now she did abandon this, but the thinking was do as much damage as possible to get ahead in that regard to retake it afterwards, because you need to get the Criminal Syndicate characters off their healthy side. Taskmaster activated, and his goal was to take out Okoye in a single shield throw so that he could either clear his poison or move and claim this back trap over here. However, his first one missed entirely. It was a complete whiff, so he had to do a second shield throw. It did 2 damage, it only needed to do 1, so Okoye is now dazed, but he is still poisoned and has not moved. So with everyone else dazed, it was only She-Hulk left to go, so she had a busy turn. She spent 1 power to pick up the center, so she's now holding it, so he's protected by an ablative 20 HP. She then used Extreme Conditioning for 2 of the 3 power she had remaining, which is if she chooses to move, well, it costs 2, and then if she chooses to move, she uses the long movement tool instead of her normal medium. And she did that to go where you can see her right here. Then she did for her other actual action, she did a sensational uppercut on MODOK, hit him for 3 damage. The roll wasn't that great, honestly, for a 7 physical versus 2 defense. It slows him, but he's already using the slowest movement tool, so again, doesn't particularly matter. She then had enough power thanks to the 3 damage, dealt with that to pick MODOK up and throw him at Taskmaster. They both spent 1 power on Brace for Impact to take no damage from it, so at least that's that card burned. She got everything done, but now it's over to Mystique, Bullseye and Kingpin to do whatever they want. So Mystique was the first up of those 3. She was over there. She moved long, well, a bit further. She was next to Black Widow. She moved next to this trap here, and she did pay her 1 power she had on her to convert it. She then fired her pistol at Black Widow. It did no damage, but she still generates 1 power from it just from using it. It didn't clear away the poison, but did manage to convert one of the traps. Bullseye moved up medium to where you can see him, and then he chucked a throwing knife at the back of She-Hulk's head. It plonked off of her for just 1 poultry damage, and that is it. So it's over to Kingpin to end off battle round 2. So the Kingpin just moved forwards twice for his turn. It didn't quite get him within 1 to try and convert that portal. It does mean he's a big threat next turn, but it also means he's close enough that at the end of turn he's going to get attacked by it, probably. And speaking of which, we are at the cleanup and the point at which the traps would trigger. I think that's the only one that will do anything, but we'll be back to cover that in victory points in a second. So obviously not a great round for A-Force there, suffering 2 dazes in the 1 turn. But they held onto the centre that's now being held by She-Hulk for 2 victory points and 1 of the 4 traps for 1, so a total of 3 gained there. Also, Kingpin has taken 1 blood and 1 power. It specifically says you do get power from it. From that trap activating on him, there is no one else close enough to one of the converted ones for Criminal Syndicate. And in terms of Criminal Syndicate, they will hold the other 3 traps, so they gain 3. So as we go into battle round 3, Gamora, Okoye flipping their cards over. A-Force are still keeping first activation, and it is 7 playing 5. So Gamora got battle round 3 started, and she was sitting on a lot of power, and she was getting picked on, so it was time to strike back. She spent 2 power for Assassin's Leap and threw herself into MODOK, and from that he actually took, I think it was just the 1 damage. I think. I've got that in the wrong order. I believe he took 1 damage like that. Then she did Cosmic Assassin on him for 4 power and managed to do 3 damage to him. She then gets a free one against an enemy within 2, so she did that on Taskmaster. He did okay with his defense roll, so she only did 2 to him. So then as her other actual action, because Assassin's Leap is a superpower, she just did a Godslayer attack, which is her basic free one. It did 4 to MODOK. He's already had 5 damage on him and he has 10 on his healthy side, so that is more than enough in total that he is dazed and will not be getting a turn in this battle round. So knowing that he's getting a little bit low on health, Taskmaster activated next. He moved medium to get well within Okoye's range, then used 2 power, which is all we had, on Mnemonic Technique. So you add attack dice to equal to the target's physical defense, so he was rolling 7 dice in total, I think, because Okoye's 3 physical. Either way, she did okay with her defense roll, but his attack roll was fantastic. He got 4 damage through. She's on her dazed side. She is gone. The Wasp activated and decided the best course of action was to get out of dodge. So on her small size, she has flight and moves long. So she went all the way over here with like a move and a half, and then spent 1 power to convert that objective there. Because remember, when she's small, she just can't hold objectives. She can still contest and claim, etc. So she's done that, but she didn't do any attacks, and it does kind of free up the one she escaped from to let Kingpin get it if he wants. So sure enough, Kingpin moved in just within 1, spent 1 power and did convert that trap, and then immediately moved small as far as he could to cover the distance towards where Wasp ran off to. Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Black Widow activated next, and she was standing there. She fired her automatic pistols, which include a free second one, although they're only 4 physical each. She was within 3 but outside 2 of Mystique, and she fully blocked both of them with ease. So then she retreated over here. Well, I guess that's not retreating because this isn't her deployment side, but either way, she moved to the far side of the trap here and did manage to successfully convert it. So now it's over to Mystique or Bullseye for the Criminal Syndicate. So Bullseye wanted to make himself useful and he didn't really achieve it. He moved next to the trap there, and then he did Pincushion, whatever his actual attack that costs costs power is, and it has rapid fire as well, so he gets to do a free one afterwards. Wasp had rerollable defense dice for being in small form, and she did amazingly well. She fully blocked 2 attacks, although it still does do bleed regardless of whether or not it does damage. He didn't have any power left to do I Never Miss to do some true damage. He spent his last power to try and convert the bomb despite Wasp being there. He got 1 success, so because Wasp was there, it did not change hands, which is very important. So now it is over to She-Hulk to end the turn for A-Force, and then back over to Mystique. She-Hulk activated, and she was where the center of the camera is pointing, and she once again proved she's a bit of a powerhouse. She did clear the court to pick up the rocks that were behind her, size 2, up to 3 damage because it's size +1. Chucked them at Taskmaster's face, did 3 damage, only needed to do 2 I think, so he is dazed and will be flipping his card. Then for her actual activations, she just double moved, and she did pay 1 power to successfully convert that back bomb, which Mystique can't get to. Yeah, well, no she can't. She can try and convert the one Black Widow's at, but obviously it's harder with her being there. Either way, it's over to Mystique to end off Battle Round 3. So Mystique only needed 1 action to move long to get right up into the other trap here, and then she fired for her other action her pistol with rapid fire into Black Widow, so that means she gets 1 for physical dice attack, and then she gets another one for free. This Black Widow has 4 physical dice though, and she was doing really well with her defense. The first attack got through for 1 damage, the second attack did not get through, and much more importantly, she then spent her last power to try and convert the bomb, and as you can see, the trap, and as you can see, it failed, so the A-Force held on to it as we go into the cleanup phase, which does mean that a couple of these traps are going off to hurt some of the Criminal Syndicate. So the A-Force definitely managed to not only claw back, but really pull ahead. They're managing to daze a couple of characters, MODOK and Taskmaster, and more importantly holding on to 3 of the 4 bombs for 3 victory points, and holding on to the center for 2, so they gained 5, taking them to 12. And for the Criminal Syndicate, they held just 1 poultry bomb here for 1, putting them at 6, so they are trailing with 6 against 12, going into Battle Round 4 with the A-Force taking first activation again, and the more of them that go to the wounded side, the harder it will be to hold on to those traps. Oh, and also speaking of those, Mystique took 1 damage from 1 and gained 1 power, and so did Bullseye. So for the second turn in a row, Gamora was the first to activate, and she's starting to prove her worth. She did a Cosmic Assassin again on MODOK. It only did 1 damage to him, but also got the free attack against Taskmaster and did 1 damage to him. So then she just did a Godslayer attack on him. It did 3 damage, and that was exactly enough that poor MODOK, with only 4 health on his wounded side, if you get him on that side, he's easy to deal with. He is gone. And yes, his ability to switch wilds to blanks was remembered. That's why, in general, if Taskmaster wasn't there, it would have been pointless doing Cosmic Assassin on him for the Pierce, because he cancels out the Pierce by changing them to blanks. She's just got a lot of hits and crits. The Kingpin activated and moved up into range of this trap first of all, and then spent 4 power, I think it was, on Hail to the King, and it includes a throw, so he did it on the Wasp, chucked her into this rock for 1 damage. It's a 7 physical attack. She has rerollable 3 defense dice for that. He still did 3 damage. She had 1 damage on her from earlier, so she is dazed. Now he has no power left to convert that bomb, but it does make it easier for Bullseye to do it once it's his turn. She-Hulk activated and moved medium to where you can see, so she's within 2 of Bullseye and the Wasp, and played Field Dressing for 4 power. A dazed ally within 2, you remove the dazed token and heal 1 damage, so she's 1 away from being knocked unconscious again, but she's up and will get an activation unless Bullseye takes her out, of course. She then did a sensational uppercut for her other actual action. Didn't do a good roll, and the defense roll was pretty decent, so Bullseye only took 2 damage from that, which was not enough to take him out. You had 1 damage on him prior to that, so he's got 2 left. And, well, it depends. He does have enough power, I think, to go after Wasp and try and convert the bomb. Basically, the Criminal Syndicate have to stop them getting 2 of the bombs, because if they get 2 of the bombs plus the center, which at this point is basically safe on She-Hulk, they'll win. So that's the thing, they have to stop them getting 2 of the bombs, and currently A-Force have 3 of them. So Bullseye spent 1 power to convert the bomb over there, the trap, and he succeeded. Then he tried to throw a throwing knife at Wasp to stop her getting a turn. She-Hulk spent the 2 power she had on legal defense to become the target of the attack. She took 2 damage and bleed, and that was the perfect amount of damage, because that gave her 2 more power, so that when he did another throwing knife, she also legal defensed that, and he did another 2 damage to her, also bled her. So she's bleeding and took 4 damage, but Wasp survived. So she should have been dazed, but thanks to field dressing she wasn't. Wasp activated, and first of all played Pim Particles, so she or Ant-Man rather, can play the card. I don't know, I think that's in focus now. 2 to play it, choose a allied character within 3, then a train feature within 3 of them size 3 or less. They throw it medium, she picked She-Hulk, so She-Hulk picked up the boulder that was there that was size 3, hocked it at Bullseye's face, and he entirely whiffed his dodge, got 0 on his dodge, so he took 4 damage and was dazed. So that was 1 problem removed. Then she moved next to Kingpin and did her small sized Wasp Sting, whatever it's called. Hit him for 3, he had 1 damage on him, he's nowhere close to being unconscious, so she just tried to convert the trap there, and sadly failed, so that does mean that Criminal Syndicate is in with a chance. Taskmaster activated, and he had to double medium move to haul over here and try and convert this trap, and he did indeed manage to succeed. So currently there is only 1 trap on the field held by A-Force, and Black Widow is the last one to activate for them, but Mystique is activating after her, and Mystique is quicker. So I think it's going to come down to whether or not Mystique is able to steal back, assuming Black Widow succeeds in stealing this bomb, whether she succeeds in grabbing that one. Actually, thanks to her movement long, she can probably attempt both if she has the power. She might only have 1 power. Either way, it's going to come down to Mystique, but Black Widow goes first. So Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. Black Widow did activate, and knowing that Mystique had both the power, she actually had 2 power on her, so she could have interacted with both traps and potentially converted them both. She had no other choice but to fire her rapid fire pistols, so she got 2 sets of attacks. The first one got through for 2, and that was enough to daze Mystique. So Mystique isn't getting a turn, so the turn is over. But as you can see, she medium moved. That's not nearly far enough to try and convert this bomb, meaning they're ending the turn with only 1 bomb held. So we're entering the cleanup phase for battle round 4. So here is the state of play at the end of battle round 4. And the Criminal Syndicate did manage to do what they needed to stop the game ending on this turn, because the A-Force have the center for 2, but they only have 1 of the traps. Total of 3 victory points put them at 15 of the 16 needed to win. However, they have 3 of the bombs, that puts them up to 9. A-Force just needs to score 1 victory point next turn, and that doesn't seem particularly impossible. Also, and this is a bad thing, it's going to sound like a good thing, but it's a bad thing, trap there, will wound She-Hulk for 1, it'll wound Wasp for 1, which stuns her, so that means she's flipping over her card before the turn happens, so she's going to be harder to take down and stop her getting a turn in a theoretical turn 5. With Gamora now free to go after Mystique as well to finish her off with Black Widow, they just need to hold literally one bomb or the Senator to win. It's going to be a Criminal Syndicate concede. There doesn't seem to be any feasible way to either stop them getting exactly 1 victory point or them getting from 9 victory points to 17, let's say, 1 higher to give them the actual win. They would need more than you can get in one single round. And it's not literally impossible, maybe, but so out of there impossible that we are just going to call this game here. So all in all, a strong showing for both teams this week. As per usual, She-Hulk and MODOK are just absolutely ridiculous in different ways, but MODOK was sitting on 10 power for so long, and Gamora completely shut him down for 2 turns exactly when it was needed. A-Force would have lost this easily if MODOK had been allowed to unleash his Doomsday Chair on Gamora, which would have hit She-Hulk. He could have chucked them around and they didn't have Brace for Impact or anything like that to protect against it. If he'd gotten his turns, they would have lost comfortably. As it stands, at the top of turn 5, She-Hulk's got 5 of her 20 damage dealt. So she wasn't in any particular danger. It was very, very unlikely she would have gotten taken down. Even if Taskmaster, Bullseye and Kingpin had all went on her. I think she has, they don't have enough power to do their best attacks to do enough damage to her. I guess, again, it is feasible, but then that puts them all over there, which lets the other ladies comfortably claim exactly 1 bomb. They don't even need to go claim anything else. They just needed to claim 1 bomb. But yeah, after saying Gamora never really shines, her getting her behind kicked in turn 2 is actually what gave her the means to do so well, because that gave her enough power that she could just unleash the beast on MODOK, take him out with a little bit of help obviously, but take him out, and then as soon as he's on his wounded side she just went for the jugular and got it. So she got her chance. It had to start with a bad thing happening, but she capitalized on it expertly. So anyway, that was a fun match. Please do show your support if you want to see more in the future. Hopefully next time we'll see some Inhumans, or if not, we'll at least see some, maybe a painting video. There will be an unboxing. I think you'll be seeing this on the day that they're due to finally release in the UK and the rest of Europe. So you'll probably see the unboxing of them on Monday, fingers crossed. And then we'll try and get them on the table as soon as possible to see a new faction. But anyway, thank you for watching. See you next time. Ta-ta for now.